I'm going to start recording as well. All right. Wonderful. Okay, so, right. One more moment. Okay. No, Jacqueline, your mic isn't on. You're good. All right, so I'm going to start the presentation so we can introduce our wonderful speakers we have with us today. So I'm going to share my screen somewhere. There's a lot of buttons. Okay. All right. All right, so good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us on this beautiful Saturday morning. This community workshop will be focused on job seeking and resume writing. So by the end of it, you will have the ins and outs of how to find a good job, how to write a great resume, and how to do a wonderful job at an interview. We have two wonderful speakers from Career Edge and CareerSource Suncoast. And of course, we could not do this without the wonderful support of the Charles and Marjorie Barancik Foundation. Thank you so much for your continued support. We really appreciate it. So we're actually going to be doing something a little bit different this morning. We're going to be doing attendance just to see how many people are here. And to explain how that will work, we have Elizabeth, who is our director of our family program and family engagement. So Elizabeth.
Good morning, everyone, y buenos días a los padres asistentes. Voy a preferir tal vez hacer la explicación ahora en español. Si los papás que están en la interpretación pueden volver porque necesito que puedan escuchar y comprender muy bien cómo vamos a tomar la asistencia el día de hoy. En primer lugar, felicitar a los papás que han venido de manera puntual. A los padres del programa FLAG Elementary School, programa FLAM Middle School, el programa Parent Leadership, los padres líderes. Tenemos a ellos también este día en esta reunión. Y veo que algunos papás ya están escribiendo en el chat, me parece muy bien, porque vamos a utilizar el chat dentro de poco. Pero también quiero felicitar a si es que están los padres de Manatee Elementary School, su escuela y la organización Unidos Now han formado una alianza para que ellos puedan beneficiarse de los temas que tenemos para ellos. Y este es uno de ellos. Así que vamos a explicar, and maybe Alex before the session ends, so we can explain or just send the link one more time to the parents so they can, if the parents that they got late, so they can fill it out the form for attendance.
Yeah.
Muy bien. Entonces, esto es lo que va a pasar. Ustedes, Alex ya puso en el chat un link y ese es el link que les va a llevar a un formulario. And I don't know, Alex, if we can see the form. Cuando los padres puedan hacer clic en ese form, miren lo que va a pasar. Esta es la asistencia por primera vez. El día de hoy estamos inaugurando este sistema y en este sistema ustedes van a ver en la parte superior los diferentes eventos tal vez que se están llevando a cabo en esta hora. En estos momentos seguramente va a aparecer en su formulario el taller del día de hoy, Job Seeking and Resume Writing. Entonces ustedes tienen que hacer clic en ese evento y después colocar su nombre, su apellido, su teléfono, su correo electrónico. Y si hay alguien con usted donde dice Others, además, si hay alguien con usted participando el día de hoy de la reunión, usted va a hacer clic ahí y poner, por ejemplo, si tengo a mi hijo, a mi mamá, a mi esposo, colocan el número de personas y si desea los nombres también de las personas. La parte de donde dice passphrase, contraseña, para el día de hoy no vamos a utilizar. Eso en otras oportunidades vamos a explicar de qué se trata, ¿ok? Entonces, los papás que tal vez ya fueron a ese link, no se puede ver el chat, dice alguna mamá. ¿Ok? Alex entonces nuevamente acaba de enviar el link. Oh, I think Alex, you need to select all the panelists and attendees. Muy bien, ahí está. Ahí tenemos entonces el link. Ahora sí me parece, Ana puede ver el link. Si hace un clic en ese link, claro que sí. Muy bien. Entonces puede seleccionar el evento y empezar a completar sus datos principales. Esta es la asistencia por primera vez. No se preocupen. Cuando tengamos otras reuniones, ya no va a haber necesidad de que marquen toda la información, rellenen toda la información. Solamente les va a aparecer, miren, como está en pantalla, el evento que van a participar y las personas que están con usted y después lo submiten, enviar. Nada más. Pero después vamos a enviar un video para cada uno de ustedes porque seguramente tienen un iPhone o tienen un Apple cell phone. Vamos a enseñarles cómo guardar el link. Bookmark se llama, ¿ok? Cómo guardar el link para que en otras reuniones ya no estén encontrando este mismo o rellenando el formulario que tiene, que pide más información. Muy bien, papás, entonces, Alex, if we can, perfecto, lady, excellent, muy bien. If we can go back to the first time assistance. Muy bien, ahí estamos. Entonces, papás, ¿por qué les pedimos que marquen la asistencia? Porque definitivamente es importante saber los papás que están atendiendo a la reunión y hay veces cuando Zoom guarda la información de ustedes, no lo guarda completo, simplemente tal vez colocaron el número del iPhone y no sabemos quién es. Y hay veces las oportunidades y información que estamos enviando o las diferentes sorpresas que enviamos a muchos papás que se lo están perdiendo. Así que para poder evitar eso, gracias Leticia. Muy bien. Lucía tiene algún problema entonces con el... Lucía, después me conecto contigo para poder tal vez ayudarte a hacer la asistencia, ¿ok? Muy bien, papás. Los que tengan dificultad, recuerden, siempre pueden comunicarse con mi persona o con la Miss Annie de Parent Leadership o con Lucero de Flag or Flam para que podamos ayudarlos a tomar la asistencia. Entonces, well, thank you so much, Alex. And thank you for our guest speakers to joining us today. I think parents are looking forward for this opportunity to hear about how to find jobs and how to write a resume. So we have a very, very skilled people in our group, but they just need to know how to write a good resume so they can find the jobs of their dreams. So thank you so much again. And I think that will be all for me now. Thank you, Alex.
Thank you, Elizabeth. All right. Well, thank you, everyone. So just in case you're not familiar, we do offer interpretation in Spanish. So to access Spanish interpretation, you're going to click More on the lower right or upper right-hand corner of your screen, then click Language Interpretation, then click Spanish and mute original audio. Para acceder a la interpretación en español, haga clic en más en la esquina inferior derecha o superior derecha de su pantalla. Luego haga clic en Interpretación de idiomas. Luego haga clic en Español y en Silenciar audio original. Gracias. So just a little bit about us before we move on to our wonderful speakers, who we are. Our mission is to elevate the quality of life of the Latinx Hispanic community through education, integration, and civic engagement. And we do this through a variety of ways. We have our high school clubs, our, very well-known Future Leaders Academy program for high schoolers. We have Flag and Flams. We have our FAFSA workshops. We have our parent leadership program, and we have community workshops just like this one. And today we're going to be learning from some wonderful people. We have Alicia S. Williams, who's the program coordinator at Career Edge. And we also have Caron Calvo, who's a career coach at CareerSource Suncoast. So before I turn it over, I'm going to stop sharing my screen. I am going to invite you all to click in this poll, give you a few minutes. Caron or Alicia, if you want to start introducing yourselves, feel free.
Thank you very much. Yes, my name is Caron Calvo. I am from CareerSource Suncoast. I'm a career coach. I've been with them for about 2 years. And I'm so very honored to be here and to guide you all. And I look forward to doing so along with Miss Alicia. And yeah, let's have some fun with this.
Good morning. My name is Alicia Williams, and I am the program coordinator for Career Edge here in Sarasota. I am looking forward to having a wonderful time teaching you about how to prepare yourself for interviews and how to prepare yourself on how to write a resume. We both are here to assist and have a great time and just being able to help you guys lead this pathway into looking for a new job. So good morning and let's have a great time.
So we have a poll that you should all be able to see at this point. We just kind of like to get a gauge of the room and where you're coming from and see how much you know before we jump into the presentation. So if you could please, por favor, respond to the poll that you see on the screen. The question is, or I feel confident about applying for a job, writing a resume, and having an interview. Now, pardon my Spanglish, I'm going to try this as well. Me siento confidente aplicado en un puesto. Yeah, I can't do the rest. But please take that moment to fill that in to see where how much you know. Had a good start there, folks. And I do believe we'll be able to see the responses.
Yes, you'll be able to see them just in case. So the options are strongly agree, somewhat agree, neither agree nor disagree, or somewhat disagree, or strongly disagree. My apologies for not translating them earlier, but yeah. All right, we'll give it a few more seconds as more votes come in. Let's see, 9 out of 16, get to 10 perhaps. All right, well, I'm gonna close polling. That's okay. All right, so let's see, can everyone see it?
Nothing's on the screen just yet.
Okay, let me share it. There we go.
Here we go.
Okay, so
Let's see. Excellent. Great feedback, everyone.
yeah, awesome.
Writing a resume and having an interview. Okay. And I'm proud of you all for sharing that. It's takes quite a bit of courage to even speak up. So kudos to you all for doing so. So we're going to cover some things about resumes and all those goodies. Thank you so much for sharing your feedback, and there'll be more polls trickled in as we go. All right. So I am going to be sharing my screen of the resume PowerPoint that I have. You'll all bear with me. Okay. Okay. Can I see thumbs up that you can all see the Resume Basics 101?
Yep, we
Or
can-
not, that works too. Thank you. All right. Okay, here we go. So for resume webinar, this is all going to be very foundational information. It's all good basic stuff to go by. The objectives are, what is a resume? What is the purpose of a resume? What are employers looking for? What's the best resume format? What are the key elements of a resume? What is a resume? It's your advertisement, your professional brand, a snapshot of your skills based on your personal, professional, educational, and work experience. What's the purpose of this resume? To get the interview. The most controllable element in the job search process is your resume. Employers are looking to fill that need. The best resume will clearly present a candidate that can meet the need of the employer based on their experience, skills, and accomplishments. With everything, there's got to be a foundation, a beginning. It's always a good idea to have a standard resume template. You want to create one that you can always, and you can cater to each position. Each resume should be customized to a position that you're applying to. If you think of a resume like building a house, you need to lay the foundation and gradually work your way up. It's not as simple as just changing a word here and there. You got to give it some thought. And you fully customize to each position. An employer does not want to see a customer service / manager and a cluster mess. Cater to each position. If you want to apply to a customer service, apply to a customer service. We'll see some examples of this. How long is an employer's initial scan of a resume? Could be, let's see, some people would, I have had guesses from all the way from 30 seconds to 5 minutes to 30 minutes. 6 seconds. So in general, when people use the traditional objectives, well, some traditions are, well, let's leave them in the past. It's a new age, a new era. And in those 6 seconds, an employer, you have to think about how the millions and billions of resumes cross their path. You have to grab their attention in that beginning part of your resume in that very short amount of time, making that first impression on paper. So this is what I'm referring to as the traditional, the contact information. Nowadays, we're going to remove the street address and stick with the city and state, phone and email. It also frees up more space on your resume as well. Employers are not going to send you mail, anything in the mail nowadays. Everything is digital. If anything, they want to contact you by your email and or phone number. So just in general, let's actually skip over this one here. So as I mentioned, freeing up that space for more information that's pertinent to what you're looking for. It looks so much cleaner when you take out that address. Okay, now we're looking at, I'll zoom in a little bit. Okay, so this first section of a resume, just a general foundational one. You want to have your contact information right off the bat. That second part is what you're applying for. Director of marketing, customer service, so on and so forth. This is your elevator pitch. This is your brand. And you're looking from top down. You want to have that quick headline and that really a brief career highlight. Okay. So next, you'll replace the traditional objective with the ability summary, also known as the skill summary or qualifications. This ability summary can be a brief paragraph, 1 to 2 lines, and or a series of 6 to 8 bullet points. People don't want to read a book. They don't have time to read a book. You got to keep it to the point and simple, making that initial impression. So some resume advice using keywords. Keywords, for example, if you see in a job posting, and I'll show you an example of this in just a moment. If you have Microsoft Office experience, this is the minimum requirements, the minimum software that they're looking for. You will add that to the bullet points in your resume. If you're looking for a truck driving or something related to that, and you have the necessary CDL license, you'll add that to your resume as well. Those keywords. Companies have these certain systems that will identify those keywords and be easily transferred to their own systems. It's those, they're looking for those keywords, those elements. Okay, so this is the visual aid of what I'm referring to as the minimum skills. If you have that minimum skill, put it on your resume. On the left side is the job description. This candidate must have at least 7 years of experience. Oh, wonderful. I have a good 20. Okay. Bearing in mind, with the length of your experience, there is ageism and it's real. How you can circumvent that and work around is putting 10 plus years. So if you have Microsoft Office, if you have something to do with accounting and that you have, and that minimum requirement of that skill, put that on your resume. Those bullet points are your friends. It's easy for the employers to read and identify. Now we're going to go into the 3 types of resume formats: chronological, functional, and hybrid. Chronological. Hey everyone, meet Wonder Woman. Wow, what an impressive resume she has. So we have her name, city, phone number, and email. I do apologize if it's a little bit blurry, but I'm sure you'll get the gist of what I'm trying to communicate. So you have the profile, the skills, which are clearly, everything's clearly identified, and then your professional experience. With chronological, it's based on the time frame, the years. And then you'll have education, certifications, if you have volunteering, so on and so forth. The focus is the time frame. Okay. Chronological style is more for the traditional resumes. It is still widely used and will continue to be. 75% of all resumes are chronological, and it's highly recommended by HR professionals as well as recruiters. When writing about each job, don't just list your day-to-day responsibilities. Demonstrate how these jobs or job duties led to results. People want to see results. For example, you would say, made client call, customer service rep. What set you apart as a client service rep from the others? Did you meet a quota? Did you exceed the quota? Okay. How did you help your company excel? And these action verbs, just as important as to have keywords, it's also just as important to have action verbs. Bearing in mind, you don't put responsible for, because this entire thing, you've been responsible for everything listed on your resume, and avoid the I. Again, your resume is a giant, all about you. What specifically, what actions did you complete? Administered, cared for, operated, programmed, led. In what way did you lead? The chronological format, again, is primarily on that time format. And again, if you have over 10 years plus 10 years of experience. We're not trying to take away from your skills. You have a vast amount of skills and experience. We just want to see something. They want you to be current with certifications, current with licenses, things of that nature. Okay. Advantages of the chronological. This may appeal to more traditional readers. Disadvantages. It is much more difficult to highlight what you do best, and most likely will not work for someone who's making a career change. These are best for staying within the same occupation. Functional. Okay, functional is focused on the expertise and the experience rather than the time frame. As you can see, but on the middle part is your experience. And then on the bottom is where you can see the years you've been at each company. So a personal note for me, when I applied for my where I am now, I found this to be extremely valuable because I had started my own company at one point on the side, and I was paying myself. I didn't have anybody paying for me. This functional is a great way to highlight contract position or maybe some gaps in employment, things of that nature. If you're coming from, let's see, if you're a stay-at-home mom for 4 years, this could also be an exceptional tool to use for that as well. CEO of household, that encompasses a great deal of experience, organization, management, financial. You ran the show. All right. So the functional highlights the major skills and accomplishments, again, rather than the years. This is a best resume to use for gaps in employment, as mentioned. Advantages can be effective format for career changers, students with little work experience, military officers, homemakers. Disadvantages, it may make it difficult for the reader to know exactly what duties you performed at each. And the last one is hybrid. I have not seen too many come across my desk, but it is a just as valuable tool as the others. As you can see, the combination or hybrid of both chronological as well as the experience. With the hybrid, it should only be on one page and maximizing the most in that one page, which you can do exponentially with that top third page. All right, just remember that top third, the bulletin board, your headline, key traits, and highlighting your career. Buzzwords. These can strengthen your resume as well. Okay, so consider innovative. Cite a time when you created something from concept through execution that enabled the company. How did you make things better? Okay, creative. Can you cite a time when you found a new way to generate value from something already existing? How did your team help the company see things differently? You show, you don't tell. Okay. Problem solving, not to be confused with analytical. Provide an example of a time when you led a turnaround with a specific project or with team structure, within your team structure. Did your solution work? Okay. Keys to an excellent resume. Please, 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 por favor, muy por favor, have reliable contact information. Your phone number needs to have a voicemail set up with a professional, upbeat, brief message. If an employer cannot leave a message for you, they will move on to the next candidate. If they hear that your voicemail is unprofessional, they will disconnect. Keep it simple. There are examples of how to put a great sounding voicemail together. Just don't overthink it. If you need help, we're here to help. Again, the top third of that resume is for maximum impact, your bulletin board. Tailor it to each job, customer service, nursing, CNA, manufacturing, but what specifically in manufacturing? Are you the project manager or are you in the warehouse? Specify. Using those keywords, your friends. Having those resumes be well organized and easy to read. Using that white space appropriately. Your resume does not have to be completely filled up with information. White space is nice. It gives your eye, as well as the employer's eye, breaks in between. 2 pages or less, unless it's that hybrid. There have been many folks that I've worked with that have come in with up to 7 pages of a resume. Employers will immediately throw that in the trash. It's too long. Consistent formatting throughout. If you have, for example, bullet points in your experience for one employer, you need to have the same throughout the rest of the resume. If you're saying that you're a detail-oriented person and you don't have that detail, how's that going to look to the employer? Appropriate font style and size. Personally, I like to see Arial and 10 to 12 point. I know a lot of people as a default, it's Times New Roman. It's entirely up to you at the end of the day, but just think of, you just want to clearly communicate and be able to read that. Okay. Job history within 7 to 10 years. That's great that you had a certification or you're president of the Sigma Sigma Chi in 1980. That's not relevant now. I'm not stating that you can't still use that experience in leadership and volunteering, and especially if it's pertaining to the position you're applying for. That can be if you want to put Meals on Wheels or something to that effect. You just think of that time frame. Certification from 1980 is not going to jive. Obviously, things have changed in that time frame. Avoiding long paragraphs. 1 to 2 sentences, again, the bullet points. Make it easy for the reader to understand that. PDF format. Word is great. It's always a great start, but definitely have a PDF formatted resume to send out to companies. They have specific systems that can better read and identify information through PDF. Proofread, proofread, proofread. Spell check is your friend. You know how it can be when you're looking at the same thing for a good hour or two. Go to your neighbor, go to your friend, your connections. If you have someone, hey, I have a friend who works at Walmart, what have you. The point is getting a second pair of eyes on there. The don'ts. Don't use an unprofessional email address. Joe Mama, dog owner, 29. When in doubt, first and last name at whichever handle, Gmail, Yahoo, so on and so forth. I realize that many people could have the same name of Tom Black. Okay, well, maybe you add a couple of digits at the end, not your date of birth, not your social security number. Think of something else. Don't lie or exaggerate. Employers will test you. If you're going to put you have a Microsoft Excel experience, then you need to be able to prove that. Don't use unprofessional paper or fonts. We have at Career Center, as well as many office supply stores, bonded paper. We have realized that it's most convenient to use printer paper, the copy paper. But if you want to make yourself at a whole nother level and make that impression, use a nice bonded paper. Okay, again, do not use the first person language, the I. The whole resume is an I. Don't include personal information such as hobbies. The employer does not need to know that you're a black belt in karate. That can be something along the lines after the interview, after you've obtained the employment, and just conversation and building up that rapport with the company. Stick to something simple as volunteering. And if you don't have volunteering, that's okay. It can be added later. Little steps at a time. Don't put references on your resume. I know we're so used to saying, references upon request. Leave that out. If they ask for references, provide a handout with those listing those references. The 3 of them, I believe, should be business or professional ones. Name, phone number, and I think that's about it. Yes. Actually, one more thing. Don't put pictures or photos on your resume. This is not a dating site. This is not a dating time. Leave that to social media, your Facebook account, your LinkedIn. That's the perfect opportunity to have your photo. All right, moving on to cover letters. Yes, oh yes, it is still extremely valuable to use cover letters. It's your introduction. This is a great way to just discuss briefly about your qualifications and skills. You don't have to restate your whole resume. That's not the point of this. Focusing on those highlights. How did you problem solve, communicate? I believe Miss Alicia has some thing to add to some cover letters as well.
Yes, with the cover letter, a lot of people want to know, is it important to have a cover letter? Yes, it is important to have a cover letter. The reason why it's important to have a cover letter is because jobs read that first. That's the first thing that's on that paper, is that cover letter that tells about you. Some companies may not require cover letters. That's okay. But most of the companies do require cover letters. If you're doing an application online, there's a strong possibility that the system that they have, the tracking system, does not allow candidates to submit them. But in that case, you don't have to worry about that. But most jobs require a cover letter when applying for a job.
Excellent. Thank you. And just, I'm going to show you a couple of examples of a very standard cover letter and one that's very more involved, as one person was transitioning from one career to another and explaining why that person felt it was a great direction. And just before I show you that, keep it to dear hiring manager, hiring professional or similar, unless you know their name, Mrs. So-and-so, Mr. So-and-so. And this is a great opportunity to explain those red flags, gaps in employment. All right. Let's see what Miss Mary Sunshine has to say in her cover letter here. Very simple, and I apologize again that it is a little bit blurry, but it's the standard. You have your contact information on the left, dear hiring manager, or the specific person's name. You're searching for the career services position, and I'm confident with extensive blah, 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 blah. You thrive in this kind of environment. That is very good to know for the employer. And you need to know that even before you speak with them. Do you like the fast paced, or do you need it slow, or just at your own pace? Do you prefer to work solo or within a group? Things that you need to identify beforehand. And then a little bit of, in your previous position, I performed, and go into that a little bit. The one on the right was a veteran client of mine who was transitioning from insurance sales into foster care youth specialist. That's a pretty significant change in careers. And he just had this excellent example of why he felt he was ready for that next opportunity and expressing his passion. I won't go into all the details, but the point is, start with the standard, just like a resume, and move forward and grow up. Not grow up, but you guys what I mean. Yes, level up. There we go. Okay. Usually I have folks in person to test the knowledge. That's okay. So the purpose of a resume, based on all these 4 things, and I'll give you a moment to read them. With the job postings mostly online, you no longer need a resume. To talk about what you want from an employer, to list all the things differently. The biggest thing is to get that interview. You want to get that job. How long is that recruiter scan? 6 seconds. And the best resume format that works well with the career changers is the functional. Okay, that ends my resume presentation. Okay, and next I do believe we're going to be going into, oh yes, some 5 resume mistakes that people come across. Bring this up in a second. Bear with me a moment. Okay, hopefully you can all see that. I love technology, everybody. Okay, 5 resume mistakes to avoid. Social media. There we go. If you include links to social channels on your resume, default to professional social media tools like LinkedIn. Review your accounts before applying to a job to ensure there isn't something you wouldn't want a future employer to see. And make sure your information is current. Email addresses. Again, as mentioned, you don't want to have something baseball player, cat lady, what have you. Keep it simple to first and last name when in doubt. That billboard is the first impression to the person. It has to be current and accurate. Paragraphs. Avoid writing in paragraph form. Hiring managers are reviewing hundreds, thousands, millions of resumes a day. Highlight how you helped advance the company, grow revenue, or even save money. Job history. Before submitting an application, review the job description. And please, oh please, there's times when people just use verbatim one of the sentences or the requirements that are asking. You don't want to sound like a computer and sound like the job description. Use it in your language. Cater it to, or not cater it, but make it sound that's coming from you and not everybody else. Typos, spell check. Please, oh please, yes, check those before stepping away. Yes, again, you need an eye break, take an eye break. This could jeopardize your interviewing or any of the contact. Yeah, Word, there's Word. Obviously, we are very familiar with Microsoft Word. There's also Grammarly. Grammarly is another one. And again, checking with getting another pair of eyes on that. Okay. Hopefully that was clear and helpful for you all. Miss Alicia will be sharing some job interview mistakes. Take it away, Alicia.
Wow, wonderful job on how to create a resume. That was great. Not Alexandra, Karen. Thank you so much for that. So you got the job. Well, you don't have the job, you have the interview. Let's get ready. The top 5 mistakes that people make during a job interview. These are my top 5. There are more than 5. There's so many, but we're going to go over what I think that the employers that are looking at these candidates, this is the mistakes that they make during their interview. First one, my pick is inappropriate or improperly dressing. Wow, we all know that looks can be deceiving, and your first presentation when you walk in there is what they see. I say coming into an interview dressed in a professional wear shows a lot. It shows a lot. They're saying that is saying that you never get a second chance when making your first impression. So your impression, your dress, professional is something that they look at when you walk in there. That's why it's always so important to start on the right foot, starting off from the top to the bottom. And these are the things that we're going to talk about. First thing, when you walk in, a firm handshake is very important when you're going for an interview. A firm handshake. Welcome, how are you? My name is Alicia Williams. Nice to meet you. Next, your hygiene, your appearance, clean shave, hair done, not too much makeup. You want to be able to give that eye contact with every employer or every person that's on that interview panel, that eye contact. Another thing that I would tell you, the correct body posture when you're walking into, or when you're sitting down having that interview with that panel. You don't want to, or you know, you want to come in there and you want to be professional. You want your body composure to be your body postures to be at a way that someone knows this person is coming in and they want this job. This is what you came in for. You're ready and you want this job. Formal dress and show interest. You want to show interest that this is something that I want. So I strongly recommend, if you're going for an interview and you really want this job, please do not go out and party the night before. Be ready. You want to have that energy and you want to come in with a positive attitude. That was one. The second, when you're having that interview, going in speaking poorly about the previous employer, that's something you don't want to do. If you're leaving or trying to change jobs, please leave the negative comments in the past. You are trying to start or go into a new job with a positive attitude. So speaking bad about your old boss is not a good sign to bring to this new interview. It doesn't make you look good at all. So I know sometimes you want to vent, but that is not the place that you vent when you're going for a new interview. My next one, social media. Companies are using social media, examining the potentials of the employees. So there is a good chance that they have or been looking at your Facebook, your LinkedIn, your Instagram, your Twitter, even Pinterest. People in other social media accounts, they look at it. They want to know, let's see what we're bringing into our company. There's a strong chance you may not get that phone call for an interview, for that second interview. So if there is something on there, let's try to clean it up before you go to your interview. Those are things that I notice. Another thing, if you do have an interview, arriving late. If you are selected for that interview, prepare yourself at least 24 hours before your interview. Map out your location, how long it will take to get there. Is that company in a busy traffic area? Try to get at least 10 minutes early in case you have to go or check in through security. These are very good points. Sometimes the line to get through a security checkpoint of a company can be forever. There may be a glitch in the system. Also, parking. Sometimes parking, you think you're going to go to an interview and I'm going to park right here. All those spaces are taken. Then you have to go all the way down or in a parking lot that caused you to over sweat. You have on high heel shoes or anything that can cause you to be to the point that you got nervous, upset, hot, overheated, to the point you want to be comfortable. So get there in time. Sometimes things happen en route. Please, if anything happened, an accident, you want to be able to call the company ASAP and ask for a reschedule if you cannot get there. These are things, if you get in a situation that you can't make it, always ask, hey, I got stuck in traffic. There was an accident. Could I please have a reschedule for this interview? Show that that position is important. It's up to you to really want a chance to be interviewed. So being late is a done deal. That's something you don't want to do. Another one, being unprepared. So be prepared. Do your research on the company and the job that you applied for. Have your resume on hand if needed. Make sure you read the job description line by line. It's important to know the job duties of the job you are applying for. Use the opportunity to show the interview panel that they selected the right person. Tell them your accomplishments to your duties, of the duties that was required when they asked. That's why I always say, do your research on the company. Review the company's website and always read the company's values and their mission statement. Hey, on that panel of that interview, when you are asked a question, take a deep breath before you answer. That is always good. These are things that you don't want to make that mistake. A lot of people just jump straight into it and you can't take that answer back. So take a deep breath. Don't forget to follow up immediately. A lot of people say, well, I'll follow up when they give me a call. Don't wait 2 weeks. Don't wait. If you have that interview that day, you go home, or if you got time, send out a thank you email. Send out a thank you letter saying, hey, thank you for this interview. I'm looking forward to seeing you, or looking forward to an opportunity to work for your company. That is always great to have. These are my top 5, but there is so much more that we can add. Any questions dealing with the top 5 mistakes that people make doing a job interview? Always shoot your comments and I'll be glad to answer them.
Awesome. Okay. So next we have what local employers are looking for. And both Alicia and I will discuss this. Initially, really suitability, and then we can just in general go into the occupations that we're aware of. Suitability. So this incorporates showing up to work on time, consistency in your work, how do you conduct yourself, and a combination of your skills, your presence, learning the personalities of others, being respectful of people's boundaries,
right,
and themselves, and knowing that it's not a competition, it's a collaboration.
right.
Right. So now as an industries, all the employers are starting to, the world is opening back up, and there's lots of need out there, all the way from retail to restaurant, the hospitality to warehouse, and so on and so forth. But just what they're looking for in a candidate is what we're trying to be specific on. So if you don't show up, showing up for work is half the battle. That's number 1. And as Alicia stated, it's like, if you're going to be late, you need to communicate that ASAP. And especially if it becomes a thing, if it's health, I mean, we get it, life happens, but you must stay in communication.
And it's okay to talk about issues. Hey, my car is out of commission right now, so I am using a friend to get me to and from work. Let the company know. If you let the company know, there's a strong chance that they will work with you. So we want them to be able to, we want you to be able to understand it's not embarrassing. It's not bad to let your supervisor or whoever that person in HR know, I'm having complications right now, but I love what I do. So if you can work with me, I just started this job. If you can work with me, I promise I will get there on time, and I will give you 100% of my work ethics and duties that I am chosen, or this is my responsibility to do. You want to be able to be hands-on and have a communication with the company. Don't have your coworker to tell your supervisor. A lot of people make mistakes by having the coworker or a friend to pass that message. Sometimes third party isn't always good. You want to be able to have that one-on-one contact, because that is what the employer or that supervisor wants to hear. you, not the next person.
Also, what we realize that people don't have a vehicle and rely on the bus, letting them know that there's going to be, might be an extra 15 minutes or the bus is going to be late. So just, communicating that the different transportation that you have. Also, we know that we got kids. A lot of people have kids. So there's going to be a lot of hiccups with that as well. But just again, communicating it, and the right employer will understand that. It's just like, kid is sick, so many different variations. Let's see, yes.
We talked about this. Some jobs, it depends on what your duties are.
Mm-hmm.
It gets to a point and you have that communication with your supervisor. This new thing after COVID hit, a lot of things can be done remote.
Right.
So remote is something, that's why I always say, keep the communication gap open. Remote, working from home, your boss or supervisor may say, hey, I understand your situation. Hey, let's work. You can work remotely from home. Just keep me contact. If you are working remotely from home, get the job done. Do your duties and let your boss know, I am doing what I'm supposed to do. And I appreciate that opportunity to work from home because of transportation duties or something happened within the family. So just try to give it your 100% effort of doing what you got to do, because working from home can be a big plus if you are doing what you're supposed to do.
And even on the flip side, if you have to leave early and you have
Right.
a doctor's, what have you, just, stay in contact. Give them a heads up. The consistency in your work. Let's see, other areas of consistency. Can't think of any at the moment, but I know they're there. Conducting yourself in a professional manner. There's a time and a place for funny, but there's also a time to be serious. And as adults, there's at this point in our lives, we understand that, recognizing those differences. If you need to, in a presentation, just be your best, bring your professional self. If you're taking out, if you're, going for a lunch work type of meeting or something like that, there's just so many different ways to conduct yourself. And even when you're off the clock, and we realize you never know who you're going to bump into. No, you don't have to wear your work shirt and things of that nature, but you still present yourself. You still have to kind of be on the ball to a certain degree. Yeah, because hey, I just met you at this career networking meeting, and now we're in the grocery store. Still present your best self.
And I always remember, it's okay to fellowship with coworkers after work, but sometime if you're going to take it to another level and start drinking, make sure you don't have on your uniform or showing that anything with what you represent on your job duties, because a lot of people go out and sometimes things happen and they still have that uniform on with their name on it. Always take a changing of a shirt or put a jacket on. You want to make sure you're there having a good time, but you don't want no one to snap a picture saying, look who I saw at this place at this time. That does not show a good example if you at a place that is not appropriate for your company's brand. So always carry a change of clothes or jacket. You want to be presentable, but you also have a life after work also. Right. So like I said, I want you to have a good time, but also remember, if you're at a job and you're going out after work, cover up or change shirts. I don't see anything wrong with you enjoying your life, but just always remember, sometime after those 8 hours, you got to go back, and you don't want people snap pictures. Social media is something that is out there and they will catch any and everything. So always remember to cover up your company's name or brand, because you don't want it to get back saying, look who I saw here, or what were they doing over there. So that is something that I try to make sure when I'm out, I am doing everything that I'm supposed to do to represent Career Edge and the company that I work for.
And honestly, do you really want to have, to the audience, do you really want to have inappropriate photos on your social media? Think about that. Be mindful of, just that in general, not just for work, but personal. Excellent. And then, as far as So when you're say you're in, you've got that job now, and now you're just trying to like feel out the company, and you're getting your feet wet with the work. You're not quite sure what to. I mean, you know what your workload is going to look like in general, but it's okay to ask your manager, your coworkers, and things like that. It's like if you don't speak up, you're not going to know. You're not going to learn and know what those best practices are, and not just with your with what your projects are, also becoming familiar with the personalities in the office as well, or your environment.
Yes, be original, be yourself, be comfortable in your own skin. Just be comfortable in your own skin, because that's the person that they want to see. If this is going to be a long term, you want to be comfortable and you want to be original, because eventually, if you're not, they're going to start seeing that person who you really are. I think doing your interview, always talk about that. If you're really serious about this job, always talk about the 30, 60 day, 90 day plan. That lets your boss know, hey, I'm coming in here with long-term plans. This is not something like, oh, I want to just work here for 30 days or 60 days. I have a long-term plan. I expect to, in 30 days, this is what I want to do. These are my goals. These are the tasks that I want to show you that I can do. So come in with a 30, 60, and a 90-day plan when you're having your interview. Let them know this is something that I really want. Ask great questions. Like I said, again, build your research. Do your research on the company. Build rapport with the people on the panel. Get to know them. Get to shake hands, firm, again, eye contact. Ask for a card before you leave. Ask for email address before you leave. Most people that have a positive attitude going into that interview, someone on that panel will also feel that positive energy and say, hey, I like that person. They were original and they came in wanting this job. These are things that they're looking for. So just go in with a positive attitude and be ready. Be ready for any questions. Take a deep breath, breathe, answer. Don't just jump into the question. Think about it. Always think before you speak, because some things you just, again, you can't take them back.
And there's little things like taking initiative, not just in your everyday projects and things, but eventually it would be a good idea. For example, like if you see someone is just, it's just being the human experience. If you see someone as like, I need some paper or some pen, or just kind of being aware of if you see a need for help, just kind of jumping in, and you're beginning to build those relationships, that rapport with your fellow colleagues. Yeah, if you have questions, ask your employer. If you get stumped on things, that's, well, I'll be.
I noticed something that we both didn't talk about, this right here.
Oh, yes, absolutely. Yes.
Cell phones. Before you walk in an interview, let's turn it off, leave it off, sit it to the side. Cell phones, you don't want to take a cell phone in the interview. Turn it off until your interview is over. Cell phones, you don't want it to ring. You don't want someone to send a message. You don't want to be looking down while you're having your interview and someone is giving you eye contact. So leave the cell phone in your car. If not, turn it off just for that 30, 45 minute to an hour interview. These are things that you don't want to have. Cell phone, no way. We don't want to bring a phone in and it interrupt your interview.
And eventually, when you have the position, being mindful of those cell phone practices as well. On silent, face down. We realize there's emergencies, but you can take a break. You don't have to, please, you don't need to be looking at your cell phone every 5 minutes unless it is your job to do so.
Right.
In case of emergencies, once you have that position, you will recommended to provide the employer's phone number in case you cannot see, you don't have a minute to look at your phone or know what's going on. It's good. It's a good idea in general just to provide that employer's number. So if they can't reach you, they'll call your employer and
make sure your voicemail, your message is appropriate.
Yes.
Sometime right now when I call and when I will call a participant for our program, yo, what's up? And I'm like, hello? Oh, I forgot. You got the wrong. Well, I'm busy right now. Call me later. Different things when you know that you are expecting a phone call for an interview. Always look at the things that can cause you to not get an interview. Just in case. Just things, simple things. We don't think of it right then and there, but your phone messages, a lot of people can tell who that person is from that phone message all the time. Yo, what's up? These are things that I have to deal with, but the person that I am, I do believe in giving second chances. So that's, to me, it won't stop me from asking you for an interview, but other people may say that's not what I want. So always remember your phone message on your phone plays a big part also.
Absolutely. And it can just be as simple as, hi, you've reached
Exactly.
Calvo. Thank you so much for leaving me a message or for calling. I'm not available at this moment, but I'll be sure to reach out to you in the next, 24 to 40, something to that, a lot to that. And just, be upbeat, personal, and positive, and keep it short and sweet. Yeah.
Yes.
Like
and I know we're getting, and Caron, is something that we didn't talk about. If you are having an interview at home on Zoom, having an interview, how to prepare yourself prior to having that interview. Make sure your computer text, everything from your home is prepared for that interview, such as your tech ready. You're preparing yourself for the interview and you have the proper attires for that. Make sure your background is appropriate. Make sure the kids are put away or they're not in an area that they're jumping in the interview. Your dog is not barking, the TV's not on. Just always make sure your virtual background is something that the person on the phone or the person that is on Zoom can say, hey, this person is giving me that one-on-one attention and I don't hear anything. It's just like a regular interview. Zoom interview is just like you're going in. So make sure you got that space where you can have the proper interview. That plays a big part. You want to have that space.
And testing those technology with a friend, that's okay to do. Even just the lighting is everything as well. And just being mindful of not, if you're interviewing on the phone, just as well as on the computer, just keep it simple, put on a jacket suit or a nice blouse for the ladies, very simple jewelry. You don't want to, not simple makeup as well.
Right.
And, have just, again, with the hygiene and just a nice hairstyle. You don't have to take it from 0 to 90. Just keep it simple.
Always remember, be original, because this is what they're going to see in the long term. Right. Be original and be yourself. Absolutely.
And it's okay. Now we think of sometimes a lot of people are just, I'm going to just jump back to even resumes. They're not a big bear. It's, you just take one thing at a time. You try to think of, what am I going to wear? It's go to we have the Women's Resource Center. If you don't have clothes right now, that's a great place to connect with as far as wardrobe. There's Goodwill, there's thrift shops. There's so many community partners in between Sarasota and Manatee County. There's as far as being presentable, the clothes, as far as interviewing, there's great YouTube videos between Alicia and Alexander. We all have something to bring to the table and to provide for you all. We know how intimidating it can be, but when you actually take the time to just practice, it's a lot less scary.
It's always, I also remember different departments dress different.
Mhm.
If you're in a professional setting and you're applying for an interview, I think that I would say, me personally, shirt, tie. But if you're working in a manufacturing and you're going for an interview for that manufacturing, a button-down shirt and a pair of slacks. Close-in shoes. I don't think that a person should wear flip-flops, sandals. There are different types of sandals, but flip-flops plays a big part. You don't want to go in with open toes and, take the distraction off of what you're going in for. Manufacturers, like I said, button-down shirts, restaurants, button-down shirts. You just want to be properly dressed. You don't want to overdo it, but you want to make sure that the company see that impression that you're bringing to the company or to the table. Professional setting is always good, and that's something that will take you a long way.
Something else I just thought of, not just your wardrobe and your presentation of you, but also what are you bringing as far as what are you putting with your resume? You're going to bring at least 10, a couple of copies of your resume, because you don't know if they've had a chance to print it out, if they're having printer issues like that. Always be prepared with at least 2 of those. Have that your handout of references, and have a binder of some sort. You want to not just bring in,
That's good.
Yeah.
Alexander, I heard that you say, I'm sorry, not Alexander, Karen, I heard you say bring 10 resumes. How many pages should a resume be?
I don't know if okay, I'm sorry. I didn't know if you were asking me or just.
No, how many pages? I'm going to ask you.
Yes, absolutely. No more than 2 pages.
There you go.
There you go. Yes. And it's okay to staple it. I mean, obviously we want to have a little bit nicer presentation, but they're not going to get hung up on the staple. They want to see what the content is. So yes, absolutely good, great question. The 2 pages, have a nice portfolio. I'm trying to think of, I don't have one at the top of my hand, but yeah, just a very simple binder. Have that your resumes on one side, have just any kind of other handouts that you want to present or share, or anything like that on the other, and just even folders, something very simple. You can go in the office supply store. It's just you're just taking yourself to a whole nother level when you look the part. Even if you don't feel the part, you look the part, and eventually you will feel the part when that comes in time. Just bringing that confidence. It's
Right.
just like you got to own it. You just
that positive energy always work. Pass that vibe and pass that positive energy along in that interview. I don't think you will go wrong.
Right. You say, I got this, and just it's going to be okay. And if it doesn't work out, that's okay. That's right. You just had that great experience, that practice, and that is going to catapult you to the next one. And eventually you'll get to where you need to go. And you're probably going to have 10 no's, but you're going to have 1 yes. And you just got to be patient and give it time.
Right. And there's always a strong possibility, like you said, you give it your best, because they always say, well, we have numerous of candidates to interview. So you go in with your best and give it all. Positive energy and a smile, always. Smile, smile, smile.
Absolutely.
Yes. Takes it a long way in your interview.
Alexander, how are we doing on time?
Yes, we're doing good. If it's okay with you both, I'd like to move into questions, because we
sure,
absolutely.
Attendees. Odalis wants to know, what are the errors that people commit when they're applying online? Because he's applied to a lot of jobs via online, and they feel like they're making some sort of error, but they don't know what it is. So what are some typical errors people make when applying online?
Go ahead.
Like we stated, also remember, when you're applying online, I always look at your resume. Try to make sure your email address is a professional email address. A lot of people would put different things, swagman, swagman 996, or you want to know with that applying online, look at the job description. Base your resume on that description. Hours. A lot of people come in wanting to say, I want that job, but I don't know if I can work these afternoon hours. If that job requires you to work hours and you're not sure, don't apply. Or be flexible. A lot of jobs don't say what the hours are, they say flexible. So if you're open to be flexible, or I am committed to work these days, I can't work weekends, let it be known on your cover letter. Let it be known, these are the days that I cannot work. So it's not that you are making a mistake, it's just make sure you read the descriptions. A lot of times, people don't make mistakes on their resumes. It depends on what you put on there. Always remember, you're not the only one that is applying for that job. It's numerous of people.
I was noticing in the chat window, I had described the job of a stay-at-home mom. So in other words, how would you put CEO of household? I have not at my immediate moment here, but I've definitely helped a couple of moms with that. And it's just, I'd literally put CEO of household. And CEO will definitely capture someone's eye for sure. And then it just goes into what specifically did for, you know, you want to put the years of for 4 years, what have you. I managed, the managed, organized, you know, the financial, the just, you know, everything you can think of. So what would you think of some basic household stuff? You would just put that in there. And there's a way to that you can reflect that in your wording professionally.
And with the young man that asks, make sure your certifications, if you have any certifications on there, if you have any certifications that you think that will be a value to the company, put it on there. Also, if you feel that you're not getting hits, it's always good to inquire. I mean, always send an email to find out, you know, hey, I applied and I was just checking on the status. Mm-hmm. It's okay to check on your status of your resume.
Right. The thank you note first, thank you email first, and then follow up within
exactly
a week, give or take. I would, as far as it just made me think of something else, contacting employers for that follow up. Mondays are extremely busy. I would probably venture to say either a Tuesday or Wednesday is a good time after people have caught up from the weekend and things like that. That's a good day of the week to just make that communication. Just, hey, I appreciate your time and just I'm so eager to, you know, hear some feedback. Please, even actually in an interview, which I did with this current position, at the end of my interview, I was like, please, I would like some constructive criticism. I would like to know how I did and what any suggestions, because how can you grow and how can you know? You can't
exactly.
Grow knowing.
Right.
So that was something I tried for the first time. And it was just great to get some good feedback. It's like, don't take it personally, just take that to another level for sure.
Alexander.
Yes.
Adriana has a question. So most of her work experience has been in her country of origin. She's only been here for 4 years. She doesn't have much work experience here in the country. Is it a good idea to put that previous experience from her country of origin?
Oh, yes.
Absolutely.
Yes, I think that is a great thing. It's always great. And I know a lot of paperwork that I'm seeing people that want to come into Career Edge and want to join some of our training programs. We just had a CNA, and I'm going to use an example. We had someone that was a CNA, and she was a nurse in her country. And when she came over, she wanted to know if her skills from her country will be able to help her get a job here. And what I did, when I helped her assist on her resume, we included that on there. There's no difference. You still have work experience. We want to know your work experience. So yes, we take all of that information and we put it together on your resume. So yes, that is great to bring your skills and knowledge to your resume, or to put on your resume what you did here. We will use it. It can be used. The job looks at that. They want to know throughout the years what you have been doing. So I think it's great to bring that knowledge to your resume and use it. And I think that the company will look at it and value what you have been doing.
Piggyback off of that. Also, if you you need to, for being in the US, you need to learn, have some level of speaking, reading, and writing English. MTC, Manti Technical College, has several locations. Their main campus is on Manti 64. They have a program that you can take courses for ESOL. So that was also be quite beneficial and valuable to the employer as well. And you can even put that as, you know, not necessarily until you complete that, that can be part of the conversation, the interview, or even the cover letter. I'm in the process of obtaining my ESOL and, you know, to better equip myself for this position or any position.
And that's why we're here. We're always here to help.
Right.
Never think because you may think you don't have that skill, we're here to help you. That skill, that knowledge, and we're here to help you write that resume and to help you find a job. So never be afraid to show or tell what you did, because that plays a big part.
And we do realize that a lot of courses or credits may not transfer from one country to another, but that's where you can have those conversations with the colleges and
Right.
And just see what's needed. What do I need to do to just go from A to B and take that time, and also let the employer know if you're going to be, or you're in the process, or your goal is to begin that process of your coursework. So absolutely keeping that open.
And it seems that Adriana is on that path. She was a nurse in her country for 8 years, and in June she'll be starting CNA training.
Hey,
So
awesome.
definitely be able to use all of that experience on your resume and explain your situation to your prospective employer.
That's true.
So there's a question on how to answer if in the interview they ask why they left the last job, and if the reason is because maybe the boss didn't treat the workers really well, which is a very good question.
Well, that was a good one. That was something that I had said at the beginning. Speaking poorly about previous employers. It's okay to, I understand that you left that job because of that boss or that coworker, but there is a strong, what I will tell you is to try leaving that negativity, comments, or experience that you have in the past, because you're changing jobs now. I know you want to talk about it, but if you're changing jobs, leave it in the past. Leave it in the past and just try to move forward. You're going into a whole new job, a new environment, and you just live from those experiences that you learn from. You don't want to carry that. You live from those experiences and you leave it in the past. That's what I would strongly recommend. You don't want to talk down about a company during your interview or saying, this is what my boss did. Let it go, leave it in the past. You're moving forward to a new beginning.
I don't have anything to add. That was a great response.
And if the job is for people who are bilingual, is it good for them to, from the beginning of the interview, to speak in the second language to show their skills in the other language, or should they start in like the primary language of, let's say, you know, they're looking for someone who's bilingual in English and Spanish? Do they start the interview in Spanish or should they start it in English?
That's a great question.
Yeah.
I was, you know, that could actually be, you would hold that to the interviewer. It's like, since I know both languages, I'm really fluent. What would you prefer? How would you prefer that I communicate in my native, or, you know, English versus Spanish? Let that up to them to decide.
Right.
Okay. And what's a good answer for employers when they ask about the ability to solve problems?
Give an example.
Go into details. Yeah, go
Yeah.
into details. And that is great, because a lot of sitting on an interview panel, they will ask you a situation and they will want to know, how do you solve that problem?
Mm-hmm.
So you can always ask them to break it down, or
Right.
always have an example, how you solve a situation, or how do you take responsibility in a situation. So these are things that you can answer that question before they even ask. Solving situations or dealing with situations are always good when they ask you to tell me about yourself or tell me about your job, just a past experience in your job. You can always bring that to the table, how you deal with situations or how you solve situations, and how responsible you are when dealing with these kind of situations. That is always good.
Agreed.
And how would you explain like a gap in someone's resume?
Well, I think we're going to be getting a lot of these coming up due to the COVID. So that's a very good question. Me personally, if it's a gap, always explain COVID, maternity leave, out due to sick, school. I'm taking a trade and I decided to focus more on this trade and get my education while I was out these 6 months or 3 months. Always be able to, because the employer or the interview panel is going to ask that question. So it's okay to let them know what the situation is. And if you are out, try to take a trade or go back to school and try to do some volunteering work in the middle of that, between that time. Because you want to say, hey, even though I was out of a job, I was out volunteering or I was doing things in the community. So it's not like you're sitting home or not doing anything. You're still working. You're still doing duties. So yeah, it's okay to be able to explain that gap.
One thing to add to that is there's people who have been incarcerated. So we do have a federal bonding program at CareerSource, and a gentleman that's in charge of that who's would be excellent at discussing with those folks who are coming back into the workforce from that point is, how to explain it on a resume. We do have an orientation and things that will help get a better idea of what the program entails and helping folks realize that there are second chance employers out there and many other things associated with that. So everyone has a chance is the point, and it's just how you present yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. And how would you respond to a question which is often asked by employers and was asked even during my interview? What are your strengths and weaknesses? And how do you respond to that question?
That's a good question. I always think of it prior to going to your interview. What are your strengths? What are your weaknesses? A lot of people will say, oh, let me think about it. I always tell you, before you answer a question, take a deep breath and think about that. What are your strengths? What are your weaknesses? A lot of people are leaders, or a lot of people like to take charge. And I am a go-getter. When you say I'm a go-getter, what does that mean? A lot of people say I'm a go-getter. I am determined. I'm determined to get the job done. My strength is where other people fall short, I try to lift them up and we work together. My weakness is sometimes I care too much or I work overtime too much. They want to know, what are your weaknesses? What are your strengths? I'm a hard worker. Sometimes I work overtime a lot. I look forward to doing things that work outside the work. I mean, that's outside of my 8 hours. I take work home. That could be a strength and that could be a weakness too.
Right. And what's something if you would think of on the scale of 1 to 9, 1 is the weak, I wouldn't call it the weakness, but something that is you're a people person versus or you're social versus I'm not necessarily antisocial, but you work better one-on-one versus being in a big group of 10 to 20. Accounting is not my forte. I personally hate dealing with numbers, but I really enjoy just helping people in general, just coaching, for example. That's my 9. Counting is like my -5. So yeah, and it's not just about the occupation, it's about your skills. It's I work better in a smaller environment or work better inside versus outside, things like that. So
and some people like working. Some people will say, hey, I work better at night.
Yes.
I prefer closing. I work better with this person. I'm a day person. I like working in the daytime. I like being on the floor. You know, you want to be able to let them know where your strength is. I like communicating with people, you know, different things that company or that interview panel want to know. What are your strengths? What are your weaknesses? That's something that I think if you're applying for a job or if you get the interview, always remember or work on your strength and your weakness, because that's a question I think that every company or person on an interview panel will bring that question up.
And sometimes people feel bad that they don't excel in one area. Don't feel bad about that. Just
No.
own yourself and know what you know. And it's like, if you're trying to go into a position that doesn't fit you, it's going to be a hot mess. So just pump the brakes beforehand, think that out, be mindful. It's okay to say, this is not my forte.
Right.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely. And I know another good tip is when you're talking about your weaknesses, give them an action plan for how you plan to overcome them. Say you're not good with time management, but say, you know, I work on it continuously. I have an agenda. I set myself alarms to let them know that you're working past it and you understand what your strengths and your limits are. And we have a really good question from Juanita. How do you discuss pay and salary and benefits details? Also, how can you request more money if you are bilingual and have a lot of experience?
I'll let you answer that, Karen.
Okay, so speaking of salary, do not mention it in the first interview. Maybe wait until the third. If you bring that up in the first interview, you're going to shoot yourself in the foot. They don't want to hear money, money, money. What are you going to bring to the company? How can we work? You know, salary can usually in job descriptions, they'll have that information, but often it is the case where they will wait until after 1, 2, or 3, the third discussion. And then at that point, it is extremely valuable if you are bilingual or multilingual. That will certainly elevate your position as well as your salary. Take it slow though. And, you know, bearing in mind that the job that you once had or position you once had that you were making 70K, you might have to take a significant and go low dip, but you can always work your way up.
And there's always room for negotiation.
Yes, absolutely. So it's like, even if they present, say, 16 an hour and you're just starting out, you know, having that speak about the coursework, like this is going to help you take you to that next level of your salary. So, and just on the job training, things like that, these are all things that will catapult you into becoming up, you know, probably to that management position if you're per se at an entry level position. So it's good to discuss that, but wait until the very end.
And I agree, take it slow.
Yes.
Because trust me, if they know the value that you can bring to that company, they're going to make sure they don't lose out on a good person with that much knowledge or education that you're bringing towards that company. So always take it slow, and there's always room for negotiation. Absolutely. And if you see something that's not on that job description and you can bring to that job, you can talk about it. Always talk about it, but take it slow.
There you go.
Okay, another question is it okay for me to ask questions about the interviewer or to the interviewer?
Yes, they
want that.
Yeah, absolutely. They're just like, and at some point they just run out of questions, but like they're absolutely elated that they want to, please ask us questions.
They want the feedback.
Yeah,
they want the feedback. The feedback is always great. It's always great to give that feedback, and it lets them know you're bringing energy. It lets them know the conversation that you're bringing in. So yes, please ask questions whenever you're having an interview. Always ask questions. It's okay. That's what they want, the feedback.
In addition to just, you know, discussing about the company, I've gone as far as, how long have you guys, the person has been working at the company? What do you enjoy? What's your, did you start at a, one position and gravitate to management? Like, I would love to hear your perspective of the company and your experience.
Yeah, Great. And how should you approach questions about personal life? Should you answer them? Should you keep it short and simple? Should you just say, absolutely not, you don't need to know anything about me? Like, how would you approach that?
Depends on the question, I
It
think.
depends on the question, because
Yeah.
a lot of personal things you leave
Right.
behind. I mean, sometimes they always say, you can always leave it, but you can always say, I have a wonderful family. You
Mhm.
know,
Them all.
I am a mother of two, you know, just, it's always good, but it's a limit that you don't want to go too far in your personal business, just going into a job interview.
Not just not being careful of your own private life, but it's
Right.
also legal. There's, you know, they legally cannot ask you certain questions. as
Right.
well.
Because a lot of people, some people jump into that not knowing how to prepare themselves for an interview, and they start talking about it. And as soon as they walk out, oh my God, did you just hear what they got too many issues or problems? You don't want that. So sometimes there's like Karen say, there's a thing or limit that you want to cut off. Personal is something you don't want to give that much.
Right. And how would you go about rescheduling an interview? The employer reaches out, they want to, meet with you at this time, but you're unavailable. How would you go about rescheduling that interview?
Most employers will ask you to give at least 2 or 3 different times that you are available. So if you're not available at 8:30, try to say 10:30, or if you're not available on this day, switch up days with times. Go with at least give them at least 3 different times that you will be available.
Agreed. Communication. Communication
plays a big part.
Yeah, and there's a mom asking if your organizations can be of any help in being like a reference for a job application. She's been trying to get a job at a chain store for a year and has kept getting denied. So is there any resources or help that you could offer her in making sure that doesn't keep happening?
So as far as references, we as coaches can provide that as long as we build that rapport. We need to make sure that that person is sticking with the schedule, that they're following through, and being consistency. If we see that occurring and we feel that, just in speaking with their qualifications, things like that, we're happy to be a reference, because we do realize that some people just don't have a church volunteer connection or a previous employer, what have you. And so we're happy to provide that. So just like an employer, we're making sure that the cards are lining up, and it's all working out there.
And speaking of references, is it okay to have someone as a reference from a job back in your home country or the country that you were in previously? Can they provide a reference for you?
Yes, absolutely. As long as they're aware, you must maintain that contact. If you're going to put their name on there, you need to check with them first to see if it's okay. So if you haven't talked to them in a while, make that contact. Absolutely. And making sure they're aware of that you are applying for jobs, and if there's any specific companies that you're aware that they're going to probably reach out to them. You need to, helping them be aware of that.
Yeah. And would you mind elaborating on, for the reference as a career coach, how you provide that and what the first steps are for someone to work with you?
Sure.
To build that rapport.
So it all begins with, to receive our services, period, they have to have an Employee Florida account. And that includes your background as well as your resume. That's a starter. Once they have completed that information, then we set up a one-on-one individual career coaching just to see what they're looking for, their background, and start connecting them with the programs and resources that we have. And that could be even working with them on their resume. It's just all these little things that we can connect them with, and it's gradually leading up to, after say a week or a month, what have you. The time frame doesn't really matter. It's just that you're doing the work, and that we are there to see you through, and that we're kind of in a way an employer. So just taking those steps. If I may, I just wanted to, I know we're coming towards the end of this, and I just wanted to briefly go over a list of the services that we have. Right quick, hold on just a moment. Because much of the world, and in Florida, think that we are the unemployment office, and we are 1,000% not that. We simply house the computers that people can use to log into their accounts, claim their week, so on and so forth. What we do have is a plentiful array of resources. So career services, from resume assistance to job referrals, interviewing best practices, and those connections to the employers. Scholarship opportunities, online training for professional growth, and these would be additional online courses. Everything is at no cost. We have Thrive, which is free training to grow or start your own business. We have on-the-job training, paid internships, veteran services. Veterans are a priority of service. And we also assist with food stamp and welfare transition. And lastly, disability services. So I just wanted that to, so yes, we have numerous programs and tools for you all.
Great, thank you. There is one question from Norma. If I'm interested in belonging to a certain company and in the first interview they don't hire me, how long should I wait to reapply?
If that is your dream job, or if that's a company that you want to work with, keep applying. Keep applying. They will see your name on numbers of, if you are being selected, they're going to eventually say, oh my God, this person is adamant on being or working with this company. I would say, if you see a position that fits your description, or a job that fits that description that you want to work for, apply constantly. Just if they have openings, apply. Always remember, there are numerous of people that are applying for the same position. So always apply. If that's a company you've been eyeing or been looking at for a while, you may not get in that door that first time, apply again. It doesn't hurt to keep applying.
And they'll also likely keep your resume on file if it's not the right timing at that time. They like what they see. Most likely have that in their file. And yeah, exactly. Agree with Alicia. Just keep following up with that. Just, hey.
It's okay. And if you have time, reach out to HR and say, hey,
yes,
I've been trying to get in your company. Is there anything that I can do, volunteer, or just any trades that I need to get my foot in the door? Find out what it is that you need to do to get your foot in the door. Sometime volunteering 1 day a week, sometime taking a trade, get your foot in the door. It doesn't hurt to reach out to that company to find out what is the problem, or is there an issue, or how can I get my foot in the door with this company?
Absolutely.
So would you mind sharing your contact information in the chat, so that way they can reach out with any questions they have, or if they want to connect with a career coach?
Absolutely.
Started on building that relationship. I'm going to start sharing my screen so that way we can wrap up.
Okay.
Okay. Okay. Let's see. Here we go. So as usual, we're going to ask you to complete the survey as well. There's going to be a lot of survey, a lot of polling, which I also need to launch just to see how everyone is feeling after all the wonderful information that our speakers gave today. If I can get to, do
you want it in the chat box, Alexandra?
Yes, in the chat.
Okay.
You wouldn't mind.
Yes.
So we're going to put in the .org/survey. So I'm putting in the chat the survey as well. If you could just briefly answer this poll that I will be putting up in Zoom, that would be greatly appreciated, of how you feel now after learning all of this wonderful information. Let us know. So I'm gonna, nope. All right, let me go back here. Let me start sharing my screen again. So, okay. There we are.
Oops.
So we have some additional resources from Alicia at Career Edge. Alicia, would you like to talk about them?
Sure. I know that a lot of people are probably in the process of looking for a trade. Career Edge have fast track programs that we kick off pretty much every 3 to 4 months. We have an upcoming trade that we'll be having at STC here in Sarasota. We have the Marine Service. Anybody that's looking for a job in the Marine Service outboarding, we have a trade coming up we have a program coming up, a training coming up on the 27th. We have the HVAC installation and maintenance. That's coming up in August 17th through October 19th. Auto electrical. These are, if you look at our participant dealerships, they're looking for auto electricals. July 27th, we have a training going on from July 27th to September the 28th. These programs are paid for by Career Edge. We get you guys in training. We have 15 slots for each of these programs, and we do phone interviews, we do phone screenings to select the best candidate that we think that will be great in these trainings. Go to our website, it's Career Edge. We're always looking for participants to come in looking for good jobs. We try to walk, after you get this here's trade and training under your belt, we try to get you into a job in that field. So there's a lot of opportunities that Career Edge can bring to the table. Just go to our website, and we're always here to help you and assist you in the manufacturing and electrical, automotive, and marine field, HVAC. Just always come and check out our website. We're here for you.
Great, thank you so much. I also put in the chat for those of you who had joined halfway through the presentation to sign up for the attendance. If it's your first time registering for attendance, you will be linked to a form that you will fill out with certain information, and then you will receive a link which you will save or bookmark on your phone or computer, which you will use for our upcoming workshops and our upcoming events. And this way we'll be able to see who's attending, and we'll be able to send information to you after the workshops. We will be sending these flyers to you along with some other information that will be of help to you. So don't worry if you joined halfway through and we're like, but I didn't catch that part of the workshop. Don't worry, we'll be following up. We'll be sending that information. Karen, if it's okay, if you could share with me the presentation you gave, that I could maybe send it with the participants, that would be great. Or if you have any other resources.
And I'll send you the notes so a person can always save these notes of the top 5 mistakes that people save during their job interviews. These are things that you can keep. I'll send you those, and they can always download it and keep in their file.
Great, thank you so much. We also want to let you know that the Manatee County Public Library System has a job fair to go bag, and all of this bag contains so much wonderful information. It includes employer and job agency information, how to use the library to make the most of it, upcoming job fair, resume and job hunting tips, a stress ball, and like a magnet, which is always very nice. So you can stop by the Central Library in Manatee County to get that, pick that up. You can also contact them directly, and they can help you with the job search as well. We also have some additional resources, this is called Brain Fuse, which I know Karen is a little bit familiar with, or ONET, correct? Mm-hmm. So if you wouldn't mind just giving a quick explanation about what ONET is to the audience, that would be greatly appreciated.
Sure, it's an occupation profiler. So you would go to that website if you were looking to, for example, wanted some more information or information at all on customer service, maybe in healthcare. It gives you a general summary of that occupation. General summary including wages overall, not specific to Florida. That will be significantly different. It'll showcase the software that you need, the tools, the general, the day in the life, if that's computer usage and communication with clients, things of that nature. So it's a great, just really brief overview of an occupation. Also, if you were to go from, you're looking to transition a career change from a customer service and you want to go into nursing, you can do a comparison, and there's also that occupation. There's something that everyone has is transferable skills. So if you most definitely have an element or elements in your, for example, customer service profession that you can utilize as a nurse, for example. So that's a great website to use for that.
Yeah, and there's also, thank you, Karen. And there's also some self-assessments, some career aptitude tests on BrainFuse as well, which we will be sending that link out to you in the email. So don't worry if you didn't write it down. There's also some career planning, some tutorials. So it's a really great resource, and we hope that you'll make the most of it. We also want to say that we have a job opportunity, and this is something that's ongoing at Unidos now. Through our wonderful community partners, they let us know of positions that are typically for people who are bilingual. So there are 2 openings right now for someone who is bilingual. One is for a full-time bookkeeper, and the other one is for an office manager position. And the ideal candidates will work in a church setting with a high attendance of Latino Spanish-speaking families. The salary and benefits are appealing, and both are full-time positions. So if you're interested, you can send your resume to Kathy at estigre7@verizon.net, which I will also put in the chat right now. And this is something, like I said, we do ongoing. So follow us on Facebook. We're always posting job opportunities as soon as we hear about them from our wonderful partners, and that way you'll be in the know. So there are some resources to learn some more, especially for your children in high school or those of them that are going in high school. We highly encourage you to have them join our high school clubs, which are at all of these schools. If you want more information about that, you can of course contact me, and my contact information will be at the end of the presentation. So our workshops are coming to a close for this year. Our last workshop for this year, and don't worry, there will be more after that, but our last workshop for this school year will be on June 12th, and it will be about immigration. We'll have immigration attorneys here that will go over what your rights are. You'll also get some, if you have any particular questions, that is the time you'll get some answers. So we highly encourage you to join, let people know if the workshop is relevant to them, let them know that it'll be on that day. And of course, you can join us the same way that you joined this workshop at our link or using Facebook Live. So if you have any follow-up questions, if you didn't catch any, maybe the speaker's information, please reach out to me. That last name is not correct, but my name is Alexandra De Martino. I'm the coordinator of education initiatives at Unidos Now. My email is alex@unidosnow.org. That phone number is also not correct. I apologize. But I will put that in the chat. I want to thank again the speakers, Caron and Alicia. You were both wonderful. We greatly appreciate you being here. It's been so wonderful. I also want to thank all of the attendees for being here today, for joining us today. I'm going to stop sharing my screen. So thank you all so much, and thank you to the Barancic Foundation once again for your support. But I hope everyone enjoys the rest of their day. Like I said, if you have any questions, please reach out to me.
Do you actually have the results from the poll?
Oh yes, I do.
Excellent. I'd love to see that.
That'd be great to see. Yeah.
Results.
Woohoo! Strongly agree.
Yes. So. All right.
Awesome.
Yes. Great job, everyone. Thank you.
And good luck. Good luck to everyone. And I wish you nothing but success.
Absolutely. You got this.
Yes, you got it.
Thank you
All
so
right.
much for having me. It was
Thank
such
you
an
so
honor.
much. We really enjoyed.
Yes. Thank you so much for being here. Got it. All right. Okay. We'll end it shortly, but thank you everyone. Once again, enjoy the rest of your weekend. You as well. Good luck on your job search. All right. So I'm going to end it soon, but all right. Goodbye, everyone.
Goodbye.